Welcome to VejaTV's continuing coverage of the Newark Municipal Elections. On Tuesday, May 8th, the citizens of the city of Newark will elect a new mayor, 4 at-large council members, and their ward representative. Over the last month, VejaTV has been bringing you interviews of each East Ward councilman candidate and also the 2 mayoral candidates. And today we are pleased to have with us the mayor of the city of Newark, Ras Baraka. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So we know that obviously this is a very busy time, so we're going to get right through it. Mayor, obviously your name is synonymous with the city, and your family's history speaks for itself. So we're going to get right to it and ask you, how did your first term go? And if you were reelected, what would be your top priorities?
Wow, I mean, I thought we've done pretty good the first term, given the circumstances that we had when we walked in the door, and we've done well beyond what we anticipated. I mean, we walked in with serious financial deficits, police officers that weren't hired in 4 years. We hired 450. We laid off city laid off crossing guards. We brought them back. They laid off code enforcers. We brought them back, hired more, paid them more money. We had 9 snow plows. We had to purchase more and more garbage trucks, bring equipment in-house. We returned the schools back to our control, have $4 billion worth of development happening in the city now. Just secured another $1 billion additional development over there in Westinghouse site that's going to happen. Expanded Riverfront Park, building a 3-acre park downtown across from the Prudential Arena that's going to be attached to Peter Francisco Park, doing Peter Francisco Park completely over, as a matter of fact. Going to open up the Ironbound soccer field. Has been closed for 20 years or more. Refurbished the ice skating rink. So we did a lot of work, and we continue to do that. And that's not even, naming the social justice stuff that we did. Around municipal IDs and Sanctuary City, or Civilian Complaint Review Board, or Cumulative Impact Ordinance for environmental issues in our air. So we're continuing to work, and we just want to keep pushing forward. I think the next term we're going to focus a lot more on housing and other areas of the ward that hadn't experienced housing in a very long time. Homelessness. We already started hiring homeless people in the morning. We got a program that we took from Stockton, California. It's called Right to Work program, and we use the homeless almost like day laborers in the morning to help clean up different parts of the city. We pay them a minimum wage to do that. We give them a little card. They get to go to the machine, pull money out when they work, keep them from laying around in the daytime, put some money in their pocket, hopefully put them through opportunities so they come out of the situation they're in. Focusing heavy on that, focusing heavy on opioid and drug addiction as well. So those are things that we're probably going to be focused on the next time around.
Well, Mayor, on the issue of public safety, a large part of our viewers are from the Brazilian and Portuguese community here in the East Ward, and the issue of sanctuaries, Newark being a sanctuary city, is very important here. But it's not just in the East Ward; it's all over. Right. I mean, we have populations from all corners of the globe throughout the city. The city's very diverse. The federal government has been making a lot of noise about cracking down on sanctuary cities. Have you seen any of that come to fruition, and are you committed to maintaining the city of Newark as a sanctuary city? Absolutely,
yes. They have been hitting New Jersey hard. I mean, it seems like most of the states and cities that have been saying they're going to be sanctuaries, they have sent ICE agents in to those cities. And so, yeah, they've been around, and we have been staying true to that. In fact, there was an officer who disobeyed the order, and he had to be disciplined. But at the end of the day, we are fully going to carry out our local ordinances, which suggest that the folks cannot participate with ICE.
Mayor, again, given the fact that time is tight, we're going to move on to the issue of education. Even your critics would acknowledge that one of the biggest successes during the first term was under your leadership, the return to local control. What does that mean to the city of Newark, and what are some of the initiatives on the education side that you foresee should you be reelected?
It means like the first time in over 20 years, the school board gets to pick their own superintendent. Get to set policy without it being vetoed by the state or local Trenton bureaucrats. I mean, these guys get to make decisions about the direction of the schools. We are very interested in creating community schools here. We have the universities, the private sector. I mean, right now it's ripe. Everybody wants to be at the table. all over the city. I mean, they want to create these pipelines that we've created through something called Newark City Learning Collaborative. So right now, Rutgers University Newark has increased its enrollment of Newark students by 60% in the last 3 years. They're giving scholarships to every family who get in, who make under $60,000 or less. They're giving them a free ride, and it's awesome. And we're working with NJIT, Bloomfield College, Montclair College, to get them to do the same thing Rutgers is doing.
Now, one of the things that when you were a candidate that has evolved somewhat once you took office, you know, from a political sense, you have been a little bit more open to having charter school folks at the table with the discussion. What is your current view in reference to charter schools, and, you know, what's the appropriate involvement for them in the education system going forward?
Well, you know, I always tell people that, you know, Newark parents have kids in all kinds of schools. You know, I got a kid in a public high school, a younger kid in elementary charter school. They just want to be in places where their kids feel safe, where they're getting education, where they're learning. You know, ultimately the charter schools are here. We're not going to tear them down. So we have to make sure that every kid is in a classroom that works, in a building that's functioning, in a school that's successful. And so that's what we need to do. And part of that is also about making sure that we don't emaciate the traditional public schools because charter schools expand so fast and rapidly in a kind of arbitrary fashion. We need to make sure we're not expanding for the sake of expansion and to expand somebody's brand, but that we're actually, you know, adding on or duplicating schools that are actually functional. That's important. And we need to slow it down, stop even, and begin to figure out financially, is this working? Because you don't want to create one problem, create another problem trying to solve one.
So moving on to the area development, Newark has seen, you know, incredible amount of private sector development, and one of the things, you know, that I don't believe gets as reported as much as you know, probably should be, is there has been a large amount of state tax credits involved with the major projects in the city of Newark. Now, your administration's done a phenomenal job at closing a lot of these deals. Their candidate Murphy spoke about bringing or cutting back a lot of those incentives. Are you concerned that if the state were to cut back on some of these state incentives, that would affect the city of Newark?
Sure. If a lot of these projects, in fact, over 90% of them have state incentives attached to them. Without that, it would be very difficult for them to get performers, to get their capital stack together, to be able to make these projects work right now. You know, the economy is better. The people believe in the city of Newark, the market, but it still is not strong enough for people to be able to do these large level projects independently. And so we do need state subsidy, and we need subsidy that the city can provide as well. And as long as we're getting things back, whether you're talking about employment or community benefits agreements or other things that we have worked on and codified through law here, but ultimately we need state subsidy in these projects.
Now, Newark has also seen significant development in its neighborhoods through the strategic use of tax abatements. And again, there is a lot of debate on that. Is that something that you will continue to support? Sure.
We need to be able to use the tax abatements in the neighborhoods. As a matter of fact, I support that more than anything else. We just had a meeting today about mid-sized developers who are doing development in the wards and making sure they get their gaps filled through abatements or through other means that we have, home dollars or everything else.
Now, you know, along the lines of development, we want to talk a little bit about employment. You know, Newark is a job capital provider of the state of New Jersey, but yet, you know, we've always come up a little short on the employment side. What has your administration been doing to try to get jobs for Newarkers, and, you know, what are some additional ideas that you would have in the next term?
Well, we've actually reduced unemployment from 12% to 7% since we've been here. And most of that is because of the warehouse kind of boom, us you know, tackling these brownfields, bringing these big box things into the city, these industries, and they're bringing, so tomorrow and today, Fab Wood, we're having a positive recruitment for another factory, Fab Wood, that's coming to the city of Newark looking for 300-400 employees, and we get to put Newarkers in those sites. And most industry and most companies that are coming to Newark now, in fact, all of them, we're demanding that they hire Newark residents. We also have a program called Newark 2020 where we're targeting the anchor institutions. Those are the bigger organizations like Prudential, Verizon, United Airlines, St. Barnabas, to begin to hire Newark residents and procure their resources and things that they need from local Newark businesses. And that's working, and it's very young, it's very new. So we imagine in a couple of years we'll see some very, very monumental success.
And as part of the tax abatement process, there are local hiring requirements, which have also provided many jobs. Is that correct?
Absolutely, the tax abatement requires that.
Now, one of the things that, as a candidate, you were very vocal, and early on in the administration, you did pressure the Port Authority, especially even in Port Newark. Has there been much success in opening up Port Newark to Newark residents, or what developments have we seen?
We have had two, positive recruitments, interest meetings with Port Authority and the vendors there, who are very, very, very eager to hire Newark residents. We've had conversation with the unions now, with the ILA. Before, we had a very contentious relationship. I mean, we worked through that, and everybody's willing and ready to move on, getting Newarkers down into those sites. I mean, there's some things we have to talk about as it relates to the Water Commission and everything else, but we have a 100% better relationship than we did when we first walked in. And we had to put pressure on them, because at first they didn't want to hear anything we had to say. But I think that's changing when they see that we can be a better ally than we can be an enemy.
The last item on development for now is a concept of affordable housing. The mayor and the council this last term did pass new legislation, inclusionary zoning ordinance. Why don't you tell us what you feel is the appropriate level of a mix to make sure that projects can come online so that they're financially feasible, by at the same time protecting affordable housing interests?
Well, we have an 80-20 in the city, and I think that's basically what happens. In other municipalities around the country, they might do 90-10. Some people are doing 80-20. I know in San Francisco, they're even talking about 70-30. So somewhere like that, when the market gets stronger, maybe some other things we could try. But what we're asking is that 10% of that 20 is 80% of the AMI, which is really workforce housing. And then the other 10% is divided between 60% of the AMI and 40% of the AMI. That's the area median income. And that's important, because right now the area median income is not that high. So if you wait too long to do this, then it won't matter what the area median income is, because everybody that lives around here, their income will be very, very high, which is why affordable housing in Manhattan is skyrocketing through the roof. And I've had these discussions with mayors all over the country about what's appropriate, when the timing is appropriate, how do you actually benefit from it. And we have pieces in ours that is not in other municipalities. Like, we have a piece that allows developers, which I think is out, I don't know why they don't take advantage of it. We allow developers to, we identify places in the city that are, dilapidated, whether it's abandoned property, that they get to rebuild and fix, and they can sell that, but they have to sell it at cost. So they make their money back. They don't make a profit, but they make their money back, so they don't lose in this. And the only caveat is the city has to agree to make that decision. The developer can't do that on their own.
We somewhat tied to development, but another major issue the city is facing, some infrastructure issues with water and sewer. But right. Mayor, I wanted to ask you to clarify for our viewers. Recently, there was a story about a nonprofit which is going to sue the city of Newark. State has confirmed that Newark's water is safe. Can you tell our viewers exactly what the current situation is with Newark's drinking water? And then after that, please talk to us, to the extent that we have state or local support to make major investments,
sure.
In our water and sewer systems.
So we have a nonprofit organization who actually has got wrong information, they got old information about reports and testing data that's outdated years ago. So they filed a lawsuit based on that, and about the samples, how the water department samples the lead in the water. The issue is that we have a very, very old city, the infrastructure, one of the third oldest cities in the country, and we have old infrastructure. So people have private service lines where the water comes in through your house. Some of those service lines have lead. They're made with lead, and so when the water goes through that, the particles from lead get in the water and come into your home. And so because that's your private property, the city can't go on your property and fix it, right? The state legislature have to pass a law for us, and they're doing that. That would allow us to bond against that and be able to use that those public dollars to actually fix your private service line. The state government has already set the money aside. Once the budget is passed, we're going to be the first city that uses that money in this capacity to fix private individuals' water lines. And we've already identified 2,000 homes or buildings that we're going to fix this summer, beginning this summer. And then we're going to keep going on and on until we get all of the service lines that we believe have lead in them.
Okay. So, and where should people contact if they have any doubt?
They should contact the water department, city's water department, either online or you can call the water department downtown Newark City Hall. And they'll come out. If you believe you have lead in your water, the water department will come out and test your water for free. Test it and then schedule you for an abatement of that going forward.
Thank you, Mayor. It's very important because, unfortunately, in an election season, sometimes things do get caught up, and we want to make sure that all our viewers were aware of what the actual situation is. Now, on the infrastructure issue, again, the city is one of the oldest in the country. We need major investments. President Trump had talked about an infrastructure investment program. We're not going to hold our breath too much there, but with our state and federal partners, are there discussions going on, to make much needed capital investments, which a municipality basically does not have the capacity to bond for that much? Right.
No, absolutely. At least on a state level, we're talking about investments. And the great thing is because of this whole Amazon piece that we are in the running for Amazon, you have a lot of interest now in making sure our infrastructure is together. When companies come here now, so we just got Mars M&M to come here, their number one complaint was not their fear of crime, or their number one complaint was infrastructure. They want to know about the train station, the roads, water, all of those things. So the state and other folks are beginning to have these discussions. They're talking about how we're going to put money in the Penn Station, which should have happened years ago. Our New Jersey Transit system, the rail system that goes into New York City, the Northeast Corridor, our roads, widening the roads, making sure the roads are safe, putting money into the Transportation Trust Fund, which was depleted for a few years because of the gas tax issue, so the city was running around just filling potholes and not paving streets because there was no money in the Transportation Trust Fund. Right. We finally got that, so we asked PSENG to do it last year. This year, we got money from the governor to begin doing our own stuff, which is a blessing, So all of that is a whole lot of talk about what we need to do in terms of infrastructure in the city.
Mayor, the last issue, given the limited amount of time we have, Newark is also blessed with some tremendous cultural institutions, whether it be NJPAC, the museum. The Prudential Center in its own right has a lot of, concerts. How are these major assets, these institutions, coupled with the colleges, what role are they playing, and what role do you see them playing in the future of the city?
They're very, very, very involved, man. We just got picked one of the top 10 most vibrant art cities in the nation. NJPAC they're building a tower across the street. From their building, they have a lot of property. They're going to continue to build. They plans to build a school, a hotel, more residential space, all in that area, connected with the library, the museum. So creating a whole cultural arts district in the city, which is going to be magnificent. And they're involved in our community school stuff with the universities, and that's what I mean when I say everybody's at the table. We're at a point in the history of this city that everybody is beginning to see that we have to work together collaboratively to make the city move forward. So it's an exciting time in Newark.
An initiative which was very much your own. Many people have talked about it for a long time, but the city mural program, especially, right. Even the painting of 21. I'm more of a sportsman, not an artist, I'll admit, right. But I think the initiative was worthwhile. How is that program, and is that something that's ongoing? Or?
Yes, it's ongoing. We're doing murals all over the city. We even brought artists in from Portugal. Yeah. To work with local artists, and that's part of what we do. We bring international artists in, national artists in, to work with our local artists to do some of the murals that you see around the city. We're doing them everywhere, in every ward, and we want to, and we're creating maps. So when these murals go up, that we can actually have opportunities to do tours, art tours in the city to see murals.
Well, unfortunately, our time is come to a close. But Mayor, do you have a final message that you'd like to give to the VejaTv audience?
Sure. I just like to first thank you for allowing me to be on the show. We started and we're doing a lot of great things. We just want to continue what we've begun, which is the opportunity to keep the city moving forward and not turn around and go backwards. I think is we're not asking for nothing crazy. You know, the Ken Gibson came mayor in 1970. They gave him an opportunity to keep going. Sharp became the mayor in 1986. I went to college. When I came back, he still was the mayor. Right. So, Cory Booker had a couple of terms to finish out what he began, and so we're just asking for the residents of the city to give us an opportunity, and we think we deserve it because we started out in a very hard time, and I think we've made a lot of progress.
Well, Mayor, thank you very much for taking time during this very busy season to be with us. And that concludes the series of interviews for VejaTv for the Newark Municipal Elections. We remind everybody to please make sure to vote on Tuesday, May 8th. The purpose of these interviews was to inform the community so that they can make an educated choice and to participate on May 8th. It is critically important that we have as much participation as possible so that moving forward our democracy is efficient, as effective as possible. Thank you very much, and please vote on May 8th.